Hey, Critic, leave the wall alone. I didn't think I'd ever have to make this video, and I feel like it might be a mistake, but screw it. It's a mistake that I have to make in order to get off my chest, because, yeah, in case you haven't heard the news, the Nostalgia Critic's review of The Wall sucks. I've seen Anthony Fantano's reaction to it, I've seen plenty of other tweets reacting to this, and I've seen the like to dislike ratio on it, so I had to take the dive. But before I looked at the review, I had to watch the movie itself just so I don't base my opinions off of this clown. That's the best way I can put it. He's a clown. And you know what? I thought it was a pretty good movie. It's a very nice adaptation of a concept record that explored the depths of isolation and showing how it worsens people's problems rather than making them feel better. Okay, I'll admit that that description is a little bit sucky, mostly because, well, this album's pretty complex, but you know what? I at least had the decency to look up the meanings. There's a website called thewallanalysis.com, which gives great descriptions about the meanings of each song as well as some of the scenes in the movie. I used this website to help me get a better look at this particular film, and yeah, it definitely helped me appreciate The Wall a lot more, both the album and the film itself. And it also showed me how much of a hack the Nostalgia Critic was while he reviewed it. Now, I freely admit to not being a fan of the Nostalgia Critic, at least not anymore. I kind of lost interest in him when he reviewed Norm of the North. And it turns out that I was right to leave him at that point because oh boy did his videos suck! Sure, there are a few reviews that I found watchable, like Jack and Jill and Freddy Got Fingered. Minus the No Country for Old Men tribute, seriously. Doug Walker is no Javier Bardem. But for the most part, I've usually stood away from his reviews, mostly because of the dip in quality and the change the channel movement. I didn't want to give him any of my support. However, after watching this review, after watching The Wall, yeah, even if he decides to review Gigli, I am never watching any of his videos ever again. Now, to address the positives, Rob Scallon did an amazing job replicating the Pink Floyd songs. He's a talented multi-instrumentalist, and I really can't fault him for the work that he has done for this particular review. And the animation for the trial segment was pretty decent. Fed is a pretty talented animator, and I felt like he put more effort into his segment than the Nostalgia Critic did writing the review, which is kind of a shame. And for what it's worth, Corey Taylor singing the SpongeBob theme is the most wholesome thing in the entire video. And when that's the most wholesome thing in the entire video, you know you have serious issues. To begin with, how in the nine hells did he get Corey Taylor to sign on a project like this? Especially after his band dropped one of their most critically acclaimed albums in their entire discography. I really need to listen to this at some point. And no disrespect to Corey Taylor, he seems like a nice guy, but he should probably know better than to sign on to a review that actively disses The Wall and treats it like a love letter. Which brings me to the review itself. Oh my god, what was the critic thinking when he thought this was good enough to post on YouTube? Now for this review, he didn't really do it in the typical Nostalgia Critic style. Instead, he decided to do a very terrible remake of the film while throwing shade at the original source material every single chance that he can. He complains that the film is too long, when A, it's an hour and 20 minutes, and B, his reviews are too long. Also, to boldly flee, when recreating the One of My Turns scene, the critic says that Pink is a successful musician who's made millions and asks why isn't he happy.
I'm a successful musician with millions. How can you expect me to be happy?
Cause, you know, rock stars can't have depression. This honestly makes me wonder if the Nostalgia Critic knows how humans work, especially those with depression. At least when Linkara made this mistake in his Superman number 701 review, he apologized!
And this continues on the song Comfortably Dumb, where he decides to say, "There is only so long I can go with hearing a millionaire say that things blow." There is only so long I can go with hearing Yeah, say that in front of a depressed millionaire and you'd get punched in the face.
And he also claims that the movie is full of itself. Look at the person making the review. And you want to know the most damning thing about this review? Doug Walker claimed that this was meant to be a love letter to Pink Floyd and The Wall.
This is just such a love letter to Pink Floyd's music and The Wall. This is just such a love letter, such a love letter.
Such a love letter.
A love letter. This review, where he called Comfortably Numb boring, where he accused Goodbye Blue Skies of being an Oscar bait song despite not being eligible for an Oscar.
So long, Oscar bait song.
And when talking about Another Brick in the Wall Part 2, one of the most famous Pink Floyd songs and a protest against rigid schooling and abusive teachers, especially in boarding schools, that causes more bricks to be placed in the protagonist's mental wall of isolation, he calls it bitching and complaining and pandering, and decides to include the lyrics, LOL so school sucks, grow a damn pair of balls.
LOL, so school sucks. Grow a damn pair of balls.
You gotta be f***ing kidding me! That's ridiculous!
All of this is meant to be a love letter to Pink Floyd. It's almost like if you were going to propose to someone, but instead of asking, will you marry me, you decide to flip them off and say, will you burn in hell, you miserable sack of crap? I love you so much. Really, this entire review feels like an IGN review with its contradictory nature, with a Pitchfork review with its meandering writing and pacing, and the sheer contempt. Contempt for the art, contempt for the artist, and contempt for the artist's fans. Sure, the critic may claim that he likes this movie, but deep inside his review is just a whirlwind of complaints that are just wrong, taken out of context, and just reek of contempt for a band that deserves much better. And after I was done with that review, I could just hear Kurainu's and Dr. R's cover of Brain Revolution Girl looping in my head over and over again. Cause yeah, my respect for the Nostalgia Critic has gone down significantly. And I didn't have that much respect to begin with. And I don't typically make these videos just to bash people into the ground, but with this guy's sheer level of contempt and his huge ego, I think I'm gonna have to make an exception. So Critic, as someone who has taken inspiration from you, I'm just gonna say it as it is. You may have laid the groundwork for how internet reviews are made, but you will never, I repeat, never reach the same level of profoundness and hilarity as other YouTubers who have taken inspiration from you. Sure, you may make a few good points, but whereas other reviewers manage to grow and develop or stay consistently good, you managed to regress into a hollow shell of your former self that makes me question if your former self was any good at all. And with this review, you have not only once again proven how much of a hack you are to all the haters, but even some of your fans are turning against you. Look at the like to dislike ratio and tell me you do not regret making this review. And as I said before, there are so many other critics calling you out for your bullshit excuse of a review.
I feel like just saying certain points of this film are pandering and this and that and the other thing are just really, really weak observations of what The Wall is, what Pink Floyd were trying to do, the context that it was written in. It's just really super weak and boring. And again, I'll say lame. Lame as fuck.
I watched the Nostalgia Critic The Wall review. I've seen a lot of bad videos on YouTube, but this takes the cake. It is probably the worst review I've ever seen on YouTube.
It doesn't come across like that. It sounds like you genuinely just don't like it.
Even we use the words, it's a love letter. That's quite strong words. To call something a love letter.
It's not a love letter. Like, Hot Fuzz is a love letter to action schlock.
Yes.
That's the whole point. In a way, as well as kind of recreating it. This isn't doing that. It's smarmy, and ironically, it's incredibly pretentious.
I hate this record. I hate every fucking moment of this record. I hate the stupid little fucking quips and jokes, and I hate how fucking smart Nostalgia Critic and Rob and the gang think they are, because, oh, we pointed out that this movie is long. Ha 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 ha.
Okay, so this isn't a fucking review, but rather a goddamn musical. And a very cringy one, too. You'd get more comedy value out of making fart sounds with your armpits.
It's like the most obvious thing, like, oh, we're gonna make a whole review that has nothing to do with actually reviewing the movie, and then we'll give our opinions real quick at the end. I thought it was okay. Red Letter Media already did that. They did that with the Step Up Revolution or whatever. When they do it, that's the last time it's gonna be done. Ever. That's the last time it needs to be done. Because they're the best. And this isn't.
And rightfully so, because Corey Taylor deserves better, Pink Floyd deserves better, and The Wall deserves so much better. So, honestly, if this is the review that finally kills your career, then good riddance. You are too far gone for any sort of redemption. I am done with you. So, yeah, this is not really within my jurisdiction, but I honestly had to review this review because, yeah, it really angered me. It was so out of touch, and it felt like a work of cynicism for the band and the work of art. Like, I just couldn't let it slide. I just couldn't. So for my next video, I kind of want to try out an album review, however, I don't know where to upload it. On this channel or my second channel, because I want to do something different, however, I really don't want to alienate my audience. So I'll let you guys decide on where I should upload it. What's the album I'm going to be reviewing? Well, you're just gonna have to wait and find out. So until then, this is ASLB, and I've got nothing else to say other than have a great life, stay miraculous, change the channel, and see ya.